Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Fillmore Thomas, a senior pursuing a world-class degree from Fort Valley State University's Mathematics Department, while also striving to obtain a minor in computer science. While I serve in many capacities here at Fort Valley State University, today I come to you as a founder and the president of the Faithful Black Men Association here on campus. I am excited to have the distinct honor and pleasure to serve as the presiding official for this afternoon's Legacy Lecture Series. And I want to thank all of you for coming out today on this rainy Wednesday. Before I invite our first superstar guest to the podium to formally welcome you all to this event, I must give a small backstory on how this all came together and highlight some of our organization's current endeavors. So first things first, I don't have a haircut because it's No Shave November. And so we're aim to bring awareness to cancer awareness. And so that's why I have this breast cancer awareness pin on. And I'm donating all of my grooming care expenses to cancer research. And so are the members of the Faithful Black Men Association as well. Secondly, when we started this organization in September, I was searching for events that I thought could empower our members. And I just remember I stumbled across the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame because our campus queen, Ms. Tanzania Walker, was preparing to participate in the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame pageant. And after delving through the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame's mission and goals, I immediately wondered why it hadn't came to Fort Valley State University or in my 3 years. And so it really became my goal to really just figure out a way to bring it on campus, because I thought that it could cultivate not just our members, but the whole university. And so today when I see everybody here, it's kind of a dream come true. And it's been a lot of hours put in, so I just want to thank you all for showing up. And I look forward to the opportunity to bring more events like this on campus, because I think it's important that we do events like this and we bring superstar panels. So I'm going to get off the stage now, and I'm going to let the superstars get on stage and do what they do best and run the show. And so our first superstar is a man whose higher education career spans over 3 decades. And on October 7, 2016, he was installed as our 10th president here at Fort Valley State University. This man is none other than the boss man, Dr. Paul Jones.
Good afternoon. It may be the first time I've been referred to as superstar. I didn't know if I should run up here or do a flip, but it's really a pleasure to be here and to join you this afternoon. And I'm so thrilled to see so many of our young people here. Students, you have an amazing opportunity today, as you will have the opportunity to hear from this outstanding panelists. These are truly the superstars and the all-stars, and I can't wait to have an opportunity to hear from you. But what a privilege and opportunity it is to have them here. And Mr. Tommy Dortch, I thank you and for bringing the panelists here, and also welcome you home as an alum of this great university, and one who we've awarded an honorary degree to, a doctoral degree to. We're so proud of you and what you've done as you lead the 100 Black Men National Association and also this fine organization. So welcome home, and we thank you for all you're doing to uplift our youth in particular in this country. So thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. I too want to just, welcome you all here. I want to give a special shout out to Fillmore. You truly are. I was wondering about the haircut, but because he's always looking so sharp. He actually looks good. But what an amazing young man. This is really what it's all about. This is why we do what we do here. A young man like this, who I think is going places, and as many of you are, who is doing some extraordinary things, and we're proud of you. We're proud to see that you had a vision, but not only that he had a vision, but he executed. And he did the hard work to make all of this happen. Honestly, we were very surprised when we learned that we were at this point, because he was out there working on behalf of the university to bring this to this point. So we have a lot to thank you for this work. Mr. Tommy Dortch and I have spoken about this earlier in my tenure, but you made it happen. And so congratulations to you, congratulations to your organization, and all of you are just some outstanding young men, and we're proud of what you're doing, and we can't wait to see even greater things from you and the rest of your organization. So let's give him a round of applause. So like Wilmer said, let me get out of the way so that we can have an amazing conversation today. And to students, to all of you, we know it's late in the afternoon, but you're in for a real treat. So thank you for coming out today, and enjoy the rest of the program.
And so our next superstar is a student like us. I think she's done great things for this campus over the past year. And so I'm gonna just keep it brief because I know she's ready to get up here and kill it. And so our 2018-2019 SGA President will come now and give greetings on behalf of the students, and that's none other than Miss Adalis Forte.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Legacy is not leaving something for people, but it's leaving something in people. I am Adalis Forte, Student Government Association President. On behalf of the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame Foundation, we'd like to formally welcome you to our Legacy Lecture Series, featuring many prominent speakers who are here to inspire and ignite change. Please enjoy and be empowered. Thank you.
And so, just on the superstar theme, we know we got the Warriors out here, so everybody's an all-star. This was a free event, and if you look at your flyer, it says drawing for scholarships, you must be present to win. You have all these superstars out here. It's not cheap, so you have to have a presenting sponsors and other sponsors. And so we'd be remiss if we did not bring up Miss Alexis Clarrington to give sponsor remarks on behalf of Wells Fargo.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm Alexis Clarrington, a personal banker. On behalf of Wells Fargo, I want to welcome all of you to today's National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame Lecture Legacy Series. At Wells Fargo, we know that when we know that when we invest in the communities we serve, we win, and the community wins. We also know that we need to do everything we can to prepare today's students to become tomorrow's business leaders. As a result, 5+ years ago, we partnered with the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame to launch the Legacy Lecture Series to position students for leadership roles in society through education, mentorship, and entrepreneurship. This series is presented in various historically black colleges and universities throughout the academic year. This partnership is provided by our Wells Fargo Specialist Diversity Team. This particular team works to ensure that diverse-owned businesses, including African American-owned enterprises, are integrated into our societies and processes. Additionally, the Supplier Diversity Team invests over $1 million annually in diverse supplier business development, including the Legacy Lecture Series, the 100 Black Men of America, and many others. We will continue to focus on growth in every aspect. I would like to say thank you to President Jones as well as President Adalis Forte for allowing us to be here today. I look forward to connecting with you all in the near future. Once again, thank you and welcome.
So can we just give one more round of applause for one of our sponsors, Wells Fargo? And so now we're going to get into the actual panel discussion part of this. And so I'm going to introduce our moderator. And as Dr. Jones said earlier, when they had realized how far I got into it, I think this is one of the reasons why they were scared. Because of this man. And so this distinguished guest that we have is a proud graduate of 2 historically black colleges and universities. The first being our own institution, the Fort Valley State University, and the other being Clark Atlanta University. That makes him part Wildcat and part Panther. He is a proud member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and is the chairman and chief executive officer of his namesake, the TWD Incorporated, a 6-business conglomerate based in Atlanta, Georgia. He also serves on the board of several HBCUs and other national organizations, including his latest installment as the chairman of the 100 Black Men of America Incorporated. And Fort Valley State University has a Collegiate 100 chapter headed by Mr. Henry Abrams and Damien and some other great individuals and males on campus, so he's part of that as well. He's also a much sought out speaker both on the national and international levels, which is why we need sponsors. He's also the recipient of numerous awards and honors that celebrate his unselfish community service and philanthropic efforts. He has had guest appearances on a number of shows, including the Oprah Winfrey Show. With his many accolades, his most humbling of an introduction is a person who has an in-depth love and passion for the existence and preservation of historically Black colleges and universities. It is my pleasure to introduce the founder and the chairman of the board of the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame, Mr. Thomas W. Deutsch Jr.
Let's give it up for Fillmore one more time. There are some seats down front. If you want to come down, we got seats
right
here. So come on in and take these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's seats. Come on down front and take those. They'll be getting in. It is truly a pleasure to be back home. I'm a 1972 graduate of the Fort Valley State University. I see my president here. 1971-72, I was a student government president here, and 3-time national alumni president, only 3-time serving national president, alumni president for Fort Valley State University. Today I have a phenomenal panel for you. They may look like it's a big panel, but they've got substance. And we travel throughout the country each year trying to impart knowledge. Our belief from the Hall of Fame is that you shouldn't have to pay for a message that you should get every day and should be available to you. When I was a student here, we had some of the greatest leaders in the world that came to this campus and spent time with us as students, which inspired us. And so it made a difference. And that's why we know it's important that we're here. The other thing that's important to remember, some forget that the Civil Rights Movement was led by mainly historically Black college and university graduates. But they were in their 20s, Dr. Martin Luther King and Ambassador Andrew Young and all of those. The Freedom Riders came mainly from historically Black colleges and universities, and they made a difference. And so we're here too because we want you to be re-energized and understand you have to make a difference. And you won't hear it coming from my mouth, you may hear from others, but I don't have much to say. There are those who are angry with Donald Trump for being president. And I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time, waste your time or mine talking about him. But the amazing thing is, why be angry with him? He ran. He may have manipulated the system a little bit, but he's not president because he was the best candidate, that he ran the best race. He got 53% of all women's votes, 53%, 31% Hispanic vote. He got about 7% Black male vote, somewhere around 4 or 5% Black female vote. He got the majority of the Fortune 500 and 100 CEOs support, and he ran, but the biggest thing was that we did not turn out. Over 51% of eligible Black voters in this nation who could have voted didn't vote. In this state, over 500,000 Black voters who were registered to vote in this state did not vote in that presidential election. And Trump still only got 51% of the vote. President Obama did not run in this last race, didn't come to Georgia. He got 47% of the vote, and still we did not vote. And the last thing to remind you, and right now as we look at where we are here, we could have made history when people look at Andrew Gillum, one of the best and most formidable candidates in Florida, and Stacey Abrams here in Georgia, and you look throughout this country. We have to quit blaming others for the things that we don't do ourselves. Some got angry because Bernie didn't make it. Bertie wasn't a Democrat, he was an independent. He ran as a Democrat, lost, and went back being an independent. But he promised things that you wanted, you can turn that off, who promised things that he couldn't deliver on, but students. My appeal to you as we go through this, you're some of the best and brightest and the most intelligent in this world. You have opportunities today that others wish they had. We want you to make the most of it, because as we move on, there's that next generation that makes a difference. When I came here at Fort Valley, upperclassmen women could not be out after 10 o'clock. We complained about the food in the dining hall. We went through all of that. And it was the upperclassmen who took over the dining hall. Don't you do it. Locked themselves in until they got concessions. There were those who couldn't understand, teachers who were foreign teachers. They were not being racist at all. They just couldn't understand them. They changed that. There are a lot of changes made, but what I say to you on this campus as we move, this is a microcosm of what's out there waiting for you. You've got to be the best and be prepared, and that's why this team is here today, to share and pour out to you. We're not here to entertain. We're here to share knowledge, and hopefully it will make a difference for you to understand. Your job right now is to be the best in the classrooms, work as hard as you can, because that world out here is not a good and easy world to exist in. We're fighting the perils and the evils out there, including that of the president, to divide this nation. But understand, at the end of the day, if you're strong, if you do what you have to do, and we stay strong, and we do what we have to do, no matter what negative forces may be out there, we will prevail, as Dr. C.T. Vivian said. We've seen it before, we dealt with it head on before, we've conquered it, and we have to keep doing it. So welcome to our Legacy Lecture Series, and I am really happy to be back home at the Fort Valley State University. I'm going to give short introduction because you'll hear and understand, and I'm going to ask our panelists in any way they want to give you a little bit more about themselves. First to my left, voted one of the 50 top child stars of our time during his tenure in the earlier lifetime as he was building his legacy. Emmanuel Lewis is an actor, recording artist, a businessman, a little bit of everything, a producer, but more importantly, he's a committed member of our community. His famed role as Webster made him one of the most recognizable stars in the world. And so I give to you a Clark Atlanta University graduate, Emmanuel Lewis. And of course, you met our money lady a little bit earlier, who is doing a phenomenal job. As you know, if you want to get some money, just give her a call. She'll hook you up. Alexis Clarendon is a personal banker and business advocate at Wells Fargo. And as a personal banker, her main focus is building lifelong relationships with both consumers and business customers. I happen to be a business customer at Wells Fargo. The Hall of Fame is a business customer, and 100 is definitely a customer. We get great blessings from Wells Fargo every year. It's a bank that is making a difference, continues to make a difference, and no matter what you hear out there, I can tell you firsthand, they reinvest, and there are so many of us who are talented in Wells Fargo who are committed to our community. Next to her is my business partner, and sometimes I call him my business partner. He hails from LaGrange, Georgia. He has built an empire. He holds a PhD from Ohio State. You want me to say the Ohio State University, maybe one D, and that's the Fort Valley State University. But this man has gone from LaGrange to his kingdom. He's one of the most generous entrepreneurs. His businesses annually operate to a tune of over $1 billion. That's with a B, capital B. And he gives back. His recent book, Millionaire Moves, is really moving through, and we're going to have him back here. I hope, Dr. Jones, to do a book signing. But he has put so many into business and supported them as they grow, creating more entrepreneurs. But the thing I love about this man, who's my business partner, we make mattresses, Better Dreams Mattress Manufacturing Company. We hope you'll sleep on a Better Dreams mattress. That was a shameless commercial. However, but Dr. William Picard, again, is the truth. And you meet people, but when you meet him, you meet the real person, Dr. William F. Picard. Now, next to him is our queen.
Hello.
She is Miss Morehouse College, keeps that title. She's a student at Spelman College and just won the 2018-2019 competition and has been crowned as Miss NBCA Hall of Fame, Miss Anta Salah Inchi. And so we were here for her, and we say this sister is bad. Okay, let me keep it moving. The next person that you had to her is a poet laureate. Mrs. Michelle Obama tabbed him to come as one of the first poets to be involved in her series at the White House and has moved around the country. He's an author. He has his own foundation in engaging community, young people in the community. Recently registered over 15,000 plus voters, but he is the real deal. When you hear from him, from his words, but I'm going to have him lift us up a little bit with something so you can understand why he is who he is. Started 5 Men on the Stool, one of the greatest entertaining group, but again, the one and the only, Hank Stewart. Now, young lady, I got a chance to meet my queen from the Fort Valley State University. You all know her. She needs no introduction, but Tanzania Walker. Again, represented us well in Atlanta, the friendship that the queens gather each year, and you know, because you chose her as your queen, the ultimate queen. Again, Miss Tanzania Walker, Miss Fort Valley State University. But no, the reality is he brings a lot of knowledge and experience to us on this campus, and when you think about the things that he's done, we are so honored and proud to have, again, this Emmy Award winning broadcaster. He has been seen all throughout from TV, from sports and everywhere else. He speaks the truth, and he's one of the best that we have out here to make a difference, and we are fortunate on this campus to have him as one of our visiting professors. Please give it up to Ed Gordon. All right, so let's get into a little dialogue here. How many in this audience use social media? How many of you use it every day? Okay, well, I'm going to start this by asking Anta, social media, they say, is a double-edged sword. What's your opinion about social media? What's the good and the bad about it? And what would be your advice to these wildcats?
I think that I recognize the double-edged swordness of social media once I started to study abroad. So I love my HBCU because of the travel opportunities it's afforded me, and I'm sure Fort Valley State provides you all with those same opportunities. Shameless plug, take those opportunities. See the world now. Once we graduate, we have the time to do so, but whatever profession we choose or whatever preparation we're enduring for said profession is going to take a lot of our time. So take that time, but social media in that sense connects people across bounds. So we can network with entities and people in Ghana, in Cape Town, in Thailand, and we don't necessarily have to see them or be face-to-face to do that. And social media allows for that. That's the plus. And I've had a lot of great opportunities come out of social media in that way. So connectivity definitely is a pro. The con is the level of transparency that social media allows for. You're kind of putting yourself in the glass box and allowing for everybody to look in. And sometimes everything doesn't always look that pristine. The thing about social media is that you can't close the curtains when you don't want to be seen anymore. What you say has been said, what you've done has been seen. It's there, and it's the World Wide Web, so it's there forever. I know people say that you can purge out all your tweets on Twitter, you can purge out or archive your posts on Instagram that you don't want up anymore. They're in a cloud that does not belong to us, and they're there forever. And people have access to that information. Employers, people that hold these higher up positions at our institutions, in spaces that we don't even think about we're gonna occupy. There are people in those spaces that have access to the information that we put on social media. So one minor mistake, something that we think is just so insignificant in the moment, can mean a lot. It can mean a lot in the future. And I think that's the major con of social media. I've seen a lot of my peers in recent months. I'm a senior, so I'm graduating from Spelman soon. A lot of job opportunities have gone from yay to nay off of social media uploads from their freshman and their sophomore year. So it's something to definitely consider. But we cannot knock the fact that it provides opportunity like no other.
Great. Anybody else want to address that from the panel?
First, let me apologize. I'm going to have to sneak off in a bit. As many of you know, we've been shooting for the university as we're preparing a video to show the world how great the Fort Valley State University is, and our crew is there. Many of you have seen them over the last couple of days shooting. But let me just say this about social media as one who's been in the media for as longer than many of you in here have been alive. So all you've known is social media. I have a daughter who's 24 and kids that I have helped raise, and that's all they've known. I think that there are pluses to social media. Let's take a look at what social media allows for us to do by means of when something is happening in the community. When we grew up, Tommy and Bill and I, our social media was black radio.
That's right.
When you got word of something that happened in your town, it happened on black radio stations and you were told about it. But if it happened in Toledo, Ohio, you didn't necessarily know about it in Miami, Florida, or Los Angeles. Now, something can jump off in a little itty-bitty town and you'll know about it. When the brother, the security guard that was shot and killed just the other day, immediately we knew about, yep, there's another one. So there are great things about social media. But I'm not sure that the greatness of social media outweighs the downside of it. Because here's the truth of social media. It's a false reality. And so when we look at one another through social media, we only see the best of us. We only see what we want you to see. You talked about transparency, but that transparency is false because we never put up when we look whack, right? You put up when you think you're looking your best. So all of the things that you start to see in other people when you're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad year, you feel even more down because it doesn't look like that person is suffering. We all suffer at times. And so as you control social media controls you. And so I just want you to be cognizant of what social media is, what images are, you know, what we put forth. And just be careful about reality and understanding and knowing it. How many times do we take 16 pictures before we get that one we put up on social media? My wife tells me, I gotta see it first. What kind of mess is that, girl? Take the picture, put it up there. So let's just be cognizant in a world that is so conscious of how we look and how we present ourselves, to understand that outside of that makeup and that dress, we're all the same. And that's even more important when we see, as Tommy alluded to, when the world is trying to divide us already and trying to make you believe you're not as good as, social media makes it even harder, because then you start to feel like I'm not even as good as X and Y, because every time you see them, it looks good. So I just say, balance out what social media is in your life and understand that it is a mirror that is not always true.
Great, we appreciate it. Could not be with us today because of death in her family. And Jamila Mustafa, on her job, got called away to interview Mariah Carey today, so she couldn't do the interview and get here in time, and we said that we'll make a commitment to get them back here on campus to you, so we'll make sure that happens. Dr. Picard. I didn't do it. We all know as entrepreneurs that you didn't get to where you are today just by saying I'm going into business and all of a sudden you're making hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. Tell us about the struggle for entrepreneurship, because I know there are young people here who want to be business owners, but what does it take to be an entrepreneur, and what does it take to be a good entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, I'm from LaGrange, Georgia, and I'm very proud of the fact I went to school to be a social worker. And somebody oftentimes says, how'd you go from being a social worker to owning partly billion-dollar companies? And I'll tell you very easily, the world is not fair, but God is. Secondly, if you don't find a way, to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And I believe Drake says it best. We start at the bottom, and here we are. So the journey is long, it's difficult, but it's doable. And I just like to say one thing, TD, and I believe this deeply. I was never an A student. I am a solid C student. But I believe very strongly, anybody from anywhere can accomplish anything if you put the work in. And what I think is so important about the journey of people like Bill Picard, who started with nothing, it should tell you that it's possible, it is doable. And the most important thing of all, I would say, is you must believe unequivocally that there's nothing in the world that you cannot achieve. I don't care if you had no mama, if you had no daddy, if you had no money. There's absolutely nothing you cannot accomplish if you put the work in. And lastly, I'm telling you this now. I'm an old man, but I love music. I love Notorious Big. Brother made one mistake. He told a lie. He said, more money, more problem. That's BS.
Call to womanhood. And we know on our campuses that women and men find themselves facing stress. Some of it is a mental challenge. Some have mental illness. And we are embarrassed, but stress is part of a mental illness, depression. And it's not that picture depicted of what they used to call, quote, crazy folks. But what would be your advice to the young people, your students, your colleagues, who may find themselves in stress and challenges? What would you advise them? I'm going to ask both of you to share, both queens to share your thoughts, but I'm going to ask you to kind of give some good solid advice to your colleagues.
My advice is to be unapologetically you, because most of that stress comes from being someone who you're not, because it's so easy to be you, like that's who you naturally are. So I feel like when you pay attention to what others do and you know their little mannerisms or how they do things, or even going back to social media, it gives you that perception that, hey, I want to be like her, instead of saying, hey, who can I become? Instead of trying to be like someone else, because they're already them. So that would be my little piece of advice, because you can't be anybody but you. That's who God made you. And why would you want to be anyone else? So that's my little advice.
Appreciate it. Anybody else want to go ahead?
I agree with Tansy 100%. I think that kind of speaks to your piece about social media and its negative contributions. Because on HBCU campuses, period, it doesn't matter where you go. The Queen's competition exposed me to that. NASAP exposed me to that. All of the other events that are held for HBCU campus leaders to kind of come together and network with one another. You learn that on all of our campuses, as different as we are, there is still this like unhealthy standard that all of us strive to hit. Whether it's a superb GPA, whether it's like devout campus involvement, being a miss all 4 years to be the miss by the time your senior year comes, being class council president freshman, sophomore, junior year to be SGA president come senior year. There's like a demand or a pressure that we place on ourselves. And from what I've seen, how I've evaluated it, it comes mainly from social media and seeing other people hit these same goals and then wanting to put that same pressure on yourself to get there. Just take on what you can. I think I can even look back on my own collegiate experience as a senior and say there's I did a lot of things in the 4 years that I was expelled, and I'm very proud of myself. But some of those things I could have been okay without. That's very honest. I could have been okay without them. I charge you all to be that honest in your reflection of yourself, because we're not perfect. And we allow other people to critique ourselves, but to Tangi's point of just being your unapologetic self, being your unapologetic self is also critiquing yourself and being able to look at what you've done and say, what could I do better? And sometimes cooling it is better. 100%. I'm telling you, sometimes cooling it is better.
Right. So Emmanuel stars, one of the most notable stars. How have you managed to be down to earth, to where people admire you? How do you be you? And tell us the value that, has there been a time where you didn't want anybody around you and you were the big superstar? Just tell us. I mean, as far as I've known, you've been the man, but tell us, share with us.
Thank you. First of all, how are you? You guys are good? I'm so excited being here. I love Conner Fort Valley.
He got tired of seeing Fort Valley beat up on my other arm. So he
it happens. Go ahead. When I was at Clark, we always got beat, so it was just a normal habit. So you get over it, right? You just go to the game to socialize, right? So, but I think it's very important that your business life, you enjoy what you do, you really want to achieve high expectations of that world, and you want financial success, and you want to make it to those heights, and then you got to come home, okay? And when you're home, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, and you go back into normal life. You take out the trash, you do the dishes, or put them in the dishwasher, and you're still human. So I never, Hollywood is where I worked. It's not who I was. I grew up from Brooklyn, humble beginnings. We grew up in the projects. My mom was on assisted living, back in the day. So it was we didn't grow up, being on top. So we did start from the bottom. but we understood that that's not where we wanted to be, and so life gave me this great opportunity at the age of 9. And I was smart enough to take it. And I think I retired my mom by the age of 11 and made my first $1 million that same year. So my goals, as high and as crazy they were, it was never just for me. It was always for my family. It was always for my loved ones. We doing this. We getting out of here. We are making it happen. And so we want to give to others so they can come out, right? So the goal, I guess, it was never about me. And I think when you always are thinking about others and it's never about yourself, the spotlight, even though we're on stage, the spotlight is actually on you all. We're here for each and every one of you. So we're here, but just to reflect that light and put it on each and every one of you. So I don't believe my own hype. I don't look at the articles or what they say. I don't really care. I know what I want to do. I know what I need to do. The pressure that society have, I put it, in the drain, because that's where it belongs. I mean, that has nothing to do with what we know we need to get done. I mean, everybody in here, you know what you got to do today. You know what you got to do tomorrow. You know what that is. That process, you can negate that process, or you can actually go through with that process. But you already know what it is. What more pressure can you add on what you already know you need to do? You just got to do it. So that's where we are.
Eddie, we see you, but you remain down to earth. Come share with us.
I've been very blessed in my career. I mean, I literally have traveled the world. I've gotten to know every star there is, if not personally, by interviewing them. I mean, literally from back when Michael Jackson was as big as could be to today, you know, doing Beyonce or Kevin Hart or somebody like that. But I also know that it's really about perspective, because I've seen so many stars who were the top stars any given year, and then 2 years later, nobody cared about them. And so it's all really about perspective. I mean, I, again, have been in this business longer than most of you have been alive. So what has kept me in this business is years when I was the man, and then years I wasn't quite the man, because here comes Roland, or here comes Tavis, or here comes... So you're supplanted by others, and then they get supplanted by others. And so if you're waiting because you were the man 2 years ago, and now you feel bad because you're not, my whole want was to have a career, not to be the top person in my field from the time I started to the time I retired. Most of the people I started with, who started with me, aren't even in this business anymore. So perspective-wise, Tavis would have to be in the business another 8 years to be in the business as long as I've been in it. Roland would have to stay relevant another 15 years to be where I sit today. And so my goal was simply to have a career and to be respected and to represent us. So as foolish as I am, truly, I was 2 votes away from class clown in high school. Seriously. I can't use the word. I have a friend who says, when his mother calls to say I'm on TV, he goes, I don't know who that N-word is. That's not the dude I hang out with. But I also knew how I had to represent our community. So when I went to sit in the White House with President Obama and interview him, or go to South Africa and interview Nelson Mandela, there was a certain perspective that a black man, I felt, had to hold in my position to be taken seriously. And so the guy I play on TV is not necessarily the guy I am, but there's a certain reverence and respect that's given to Ed Gordon, the TV guy, that maybe I don't deserve. And so it's really about perspective, Tommy, and understanding your place in life and where you sit. And I am about to run, but let me just share this with you all. Many of you will leave here today, and when it's over, you'll run the bill and say, Mr. Ricard, can I get your phone number? Tommy, can I get your phone number? I want you to understand, most of the time when you seek a mentor and you give people and you want help, right? They mean well, even if they give you a business card. But the truth of the matter, they're very busy people, and they won't be able to contact you, and then you'll be mad at them. And I think what Bill was talking about hard work is, your dream is your dream. It's nobody else's. Absolutely. And so you have to find ways to make that dream work for you. And I don't see the brother in here yesterday, but let me just tell this quick story, and then I'll go and I'll pass it on to everybody. I met a brother yesterday on campus, and he came to me and he said, excuse me, Mr. Gordon, excuse me, you know any comedians? And I said, yeah. I said, why? Do you want to be a comedian? He said, well, yeah, I want to be a comedian. I said, really? I said, so you want me just to call somebody and tell them you're funny, or what do you want me to do? So he said, well, I don't know. I said, well, you know, I do know. I said, Kevin Hart. I said, Anthony Anderson's a buddy of mine. I said, I could call him right now. And I said, if I called him right now, I said, hey, Ant, what's happening, man? I'm standing next to this dude. He say he's funny. Anthony would go, and? My man wanted me to help him, but what good would that be? So then I said to him, are you funny? He said, yeah, I'm funny. I said, well, tell me a joke. He ain't have a joke for me. Here's the reality, guys. You get a couple of shots at things. What if he was really funny? And I said, this dude is funny. I might have called Anthony for real. But the reality is that's not how you're going to make it. I told him, you need to play comedy clubs in the local area. You need to ask if you can play the cafeteria on Wednesdays, when all them people in there eating that chicken, and I was one of them today. It was good too. But it's about making your dream come true for you. If you get a benefactor, if you get someone who will help you along the way, feel blessed. But most of the time, you won't. And it wasn't because they don't want to help you. They're busy. They have their life, their dream, or they're long in the tooth and have already helped a bunch of people. So figure out what you need to do. Figure out what you need to do to get where you want to go, and then be about going that route and doing it. And if you don't get help, that's cool too. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to be on you anyway. So I wish y'all well. I gotta run. I'll see those of you who are in class tomorrow. And Tommy, thank you for this, and greatly appreciate it, Tommy.
And man, for you, Ezzy, to do something there, because then I'm going to ask you to do something real quick, kind of break the ice, and then I'm going to talk about finances and some other things here. Go ahead.
Well, I think the one thing that I would say is I think you got to wake up and be like a Tommy Dorsch or an Ed Wood, you know, a Bill. You got to be mad every day. You got to be mad. You got to be mad in the morning.
Set up.
Mad in the evening. Mad at night. Right? I mean, you just got to be mad. You got to be mad on your birthday. Mad on holidays.
Oh, man.
You know, mad on Christmas. You got to be mad. You got to hang out with mad people.
Set up.
Right? What is mad? Mad is M-A-D, making a difference.
All right, come on.
You got to be you got to be willing to make a difference at any cost. And I think one of the things that I love about Tommy is that he, you know, and I've watched him, and you know, a lot of you all, you watching folk, right? And you got to make sure you're watching the right people. And I saw Mr. Dortch do a whole lot. I saw Bill and and Ed, and they don't always have to be people that you're close to, Emmanuel, but you watch folk and you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you create it and you make who you are. You got to make a difference. And so, and I'll say this: yesterday is a council check. Tomorrow's a promissory note, but today is ready cash. What you did yesterday don't matter. You might not even see tomorrow. But what you do today is what's really important. I read an article not too long ago that said, Queen, it said the average person gets 30,000 days in a lifetime. 30,000 days. And so I read that article, and I should have just read it and kept on moving. So I decided to do some math, and I divided 365 into the 30,000 and came up with roughly 82. Well, I should have read that and left it alone. I'm 55 years old, so I took 55 bill and multiplied it times 365 and came up with 20,000 and some change. I subtracted 20,000 from the 30,000 and had 9,000 and some change. Now that's really getting scary, Tommy. I divided 365 into the 9,000 and some change and came up roughly 26, 27. I could have 27 years left in my life. And I thought, well, you know, Dr. Vivian is 94, you know, Dr. Lyra is 97, you know, Miss Clayton is 90, my mom is, Miss Clayton is 88, my mom is 90. You know, then tomorrow, so you know what I figured out? I can't let y'all waste my time. I won't let y'all waste my, if you ain't doing and going in the right direction, I can't let you waste my time. And like Ed just said, if you say you funny, have a joke, have something ready to go. But be so committed. You know, one man or woman who's committed is far greater than 1,000 with interest. I'd rather be committed. I'd rather be with one person in the foxhole who's committed than somebody who says, I'm interested in doing something. Because you may or might not do it. And so one of the things that's so powerful about this bill and this lecture series that Tom made, he's a genius. I mean, he really is. I steal everything I can from him. I really do. I got 3 events, and all of them he don't know is loosely based off something he does. I like being around. My pastor always said, if a drunk hang out with a drunk, neither one of you ever be sober. If you hanging out with somebody who ain't going nowhere, it's not gonna be long before you're gonna have your brakes on. Hook your wagon to somebody who's doing something while you're at Fort Valley. Hook your wagon and take your phone. How many people got cell phones right now? Y'all, you got cell phone? Go. How many people, when you look through, you know, in your contact, Emmanuel, you know if you start looking through, what's the contacts in your cell phone? What do you use contacts for? People you know, right? How many people got people in their contacts they know they shouldn't be hanging out with?
Whoa.
You know it. So I'm gonna ask you, when you get a chance, go through your cell phones and start deleting people in your cell phone who you know mean you so no good. Right? Who you know mean you no good.
Or block.
Or don't delete them, block them. Yeah, because they might call from another number. And so block them. Right. But I'll say this, and I'll do the poem. Tom, is that what you wanted me to do? I'll say this. Everybody who wears your jersey, just because y'all have the same color jersey on, don't mean y'all on the same team. It really does. It doesn't mean you're on the same team. And some of the people that wear your jersey, and you wearing that jersey, y'all look just alike. But they ain't on your side. They ain't pulling for you. They pulling against you. And I hate to say this, but it's, President Jones, I hate to say this, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of them is your family members who's pulling against you. So I want you to be mad. This is the poem. I'm mad. I'm mad. But I'm mad about a lot of things. I'm mad about more than iced tea and Skittles hands up where I can't breathe. You see, I'm also mad about black on black crime. I'm mad about all the fighting and the dying over sneakers like Jordans and young people killing each other over a dime. I'm mad about mothers leaving their young children at home alone and leaving them in the hot cars. And I'm mad about men having to be held accountable to being fathers through legislation or law. I'm mad to have to be encouraged to register and vote with all the blood that our ancestors shed. People like C.T. Vivian, Jimmy Lee Jackson, John Lewis, Jose William James, or so many others were killed with billy clubs beaten over the head, or I'm mad. Pastor, I'm mad about our churches are not what they used to be. I'm mad that we can shoot an innocent, kill black people, and then walk away free. I'm mad that we don't eat at black restaurants and shop at black stores. And I'm mad that the people who came before us to help us get that corporate job, not only do we not help someone else in, but behind us we lock the door. Now I'm mad that young ladies are getting pregnant without even thinking about marrying their father. And I'm mad that young men are getting these young ladies pregnant and moving on to the next one like the last one was just a bother. I'm mad that adults or children don't say thank you or please. And I'm mad that we're not teaching our young people work ethics like cutting grass or raking leaves. I'm mad that in Africa, little kids don't have shoes. And I'm mad that people like Clarence Thomas, Stacey Dash, and Ben Carson don't have a clue. I'm mad that during Christmas time, people can give gifts without ever saying Christ. I'm mad that homeless people won't get pennies but walk right into the store and buy red bottoms, rims, and jewelry without even looking at the price. I'm mad that the Democrats and the Republicans sometimes both seem to be the same. Services being cut and deleted while Congress and Senate on the Hill playing games. I'm mad that we're listening and dancing to music that degrade our women, that the athletes won't band together for a civil rights cause. Don't they know that more than what they do on the diamond turf or court, running, throwing, or shooting the ball? I'm mad that some young men have chosen to sag over wearing a suit. I'm mad that we picket and protesters in our own community that we burn and loot. I'm mad at cancer. And I wish cancer would get cancer and die. I'm tired of cancer taking our loved ones beyond the sky. I'm mad that parents can find time sometimes to do almost any and everything and can't find time to go to a PTA meeting at their child's school. I'm mad that we're losing history by the way I'm still waiting on my 40 acres and a mule. I'm mad that the Montgomery boycott, March on Washington, Selma all seem to have been for naught. All the civil rights leaders were lost during that era, not to mention when Malcolm, Megan, and Martin were shot. I'm mad that we don't have a bill for the Voters' Right Act. And we're not even talking about it, but let something happen with the entertainment on social media, it blows up. How easily we distract. Yeah, I'm mad, I'm so mad, I'm mad for that, but each and every one of you all are not mad. How could you just sit there and if we're not careful what we have, will be what we have. I'm going to keep on fighting and grinding and trying to live a life of substance. Because Edmund Burke said it best, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men and women to do nothing. But I'm still mad, are you? If so, what are you going to do? M-A-D, make it different. If you never come face to face with the devil, you and him must be heading in the same direction.
Alexis, we know some students, they get their student loans, they pay their bills, and then they take the money and spend it on some things, and some get a credit card and they just go out and spend it and max it out and figure they gave me the card, I'm not going to pay it off. That's their loss. But how important is it for students now to maintain and to get good credit ratings? Why is it important while they're students in college?
Okay, with that being said, I'm pretty for sure most of us dream of being Dr. Picker here, and there's two things that are going to get you there: a great education and good credit. Your credit determines where you're going to live, how you're going to be able to educate your kids, as well as when you're able to buy your own home, start your own business. Even the simplest of getting a checking account relies on what type of credit you've maintained. Your employer, your next employer, will be looking at your credit history. It is extremely, extremely important that we start right now building that history. You're in college, like I said, with education and credit, you become untouchable. You have buying power. That puts you an extra step ahead of the game. On behalf of Wells Fargo, we did have some brochures that I want each and every last one of you guys to take. Is Let's Talk Credit. This particular book will guide you on how to start, if you haven't already, start building credit. This is my friend. I'm going to be like him. With that being said, this Let's Talk Credit is going to be the key to opening doors for you. If you guys are looking at starting your own business, you've got to have good credit. Coming out of college with bad credit is the worst thing ever. I see it every day. Every day, and it makes me rather sad, and unfortunately it's really prevalent in the African American community. We shouldn't be 19 and 20 with a 430 credit score. That should not. We shouldn't be in second chance accounts. If you want to be able to open those doors, your education and get your credit right.
And you heard, very good, because you heard earlier, Anta and Tanzania talked about social media. That people really do check your social media, and you can not get a job based on what you posted. They also check your credit, and you cannot get a job if you have bad credit rating. You can say, well, this is not related to any financial institution, but people think that that shows how well you're able to manage yourself, how well you manage the resources of that company. And I know people who've been turned down because they have bad credit. Turned down from a job. The other thing to understand, she talked about owning a home. You can't get an apartment. If your credit is bad, you better have a cosigner, because it's gotten that bad out here that your credit really helps to rule what you can and can't do. I mean, even to rent a car, much less to buy a car. So those issues become important as you move. And so there are some, if you read the book, there's some good tips for you by getting a secured card, for example. Of course, secured means you secure with your own money. Go out, buy something before the month is over, pay it off. You begin to build your credit rating. Go out and buy some little things, pay it off. Don't miss that 30-day time period. Just build your credit by having that secured. You can have a Visa card, secured card. It's guaranteed or secured by the money you put in the bank. So you keep building your credit, and by the time you leave, it's a double-edged sword. If you have no credit, you're starting from zero also. When I came out, I got 5 credit cards. I didn't apply for them. They sent me American Express, Visa, MasterCard, and I said, shoot, this is what you get when you graduate. My mom said, they sent me, she said, you cut it up right now. She said, I want to hear you cutting it up. I cut them up. But just because you get those cards, you can ruin your life and your livelihood. So we want to make sure you understand that. And student loans, that's exactly what it is. It's a loan that you have to pay back. So if you don't get more money than what you need, you build debt and you come out with so much debt at the end. So we hope that you'll understand. And Wells Fargo, again, look at those booklets that are here. We want you to understand that having good credit, staying out of bad stuff you put on social media, because it will follow you for life. And I know a person got busted or lost their job because of something they posted 15 years earlier. And when they found it, the company said this basically is a bad image for this company. So don't think that you can do and say all you want now and figure it'll go away. And when you find that husband or wife, or a candidate for husband and wife, and they find that stuff on social media, you may have a boyfriend, or you may have a good friend, or you may have an associate But some folks can say, well, I don't want her or him in my life. So think about that. But credit is important. We want you to understand, protect it as best you can, and don't let your friends use your credit and destroy your credit. I've had family members I signed for something and then they didn't pay, and I paid. And they said thank you, but they didn't pay me back. So sometimes you understand that. So let's move on over. Go ahead, of course.
Can I add something, Mr. Deutsch? So I'm a political science major. I'm a double minor in economics and journalism. Journalism is really what I love, but Spelman doesn't offer that as a major, so I settled for what I like second, and that's politics. But as a student of journalism, I really love storytelling. And so as it pertains to like credit and like the role that credit plays as it pertains to co-assignment for not only housing, but also student loans. So I know I've unpacked a lot of like narratives as Queen of Morehouse, as a Spelman student, as to how my Spelman sisters got where they are, as to how my Morehouse brothers got where they are. Some people have parents who can write full checks for $50,000 and just drop it off in the financial aid office and they go about their day. Some people write it some people write it for both semesters, and then there's some people that are fighting for their lives each and every semester to get there because their parents could not co-sign on a loan for them, or their parents deliberately chose to not do so. Having good credit for us right now is guaranteeing an educational future for our children, if you seek to have them. And that's one thing I just wanted to add and say, because I'm charging for you all as Fort Valley State students to really have more in-depth conversations with one another, to see how many similarities and differences there are in the room, because you never know what you can learn from the person to the right and to the left of you. But once I realized that and I was opening up the room for more dialogue and more conversations, I was finding we're all in this space, and we all got to this space in a variety of different ways. There's something that can be learned from that. And as it pertains to financial fortitude, we have to make the right decisions for ourselves now so that we don't repeat this same kind of cycle that is known in the Black community. We don't have to cling to the things that people say our community is known for that we don't really like, and that's one of them. We can change it.
So we're going to get ready for you to ask any questions that you may have. Do we have a mic ready for questions from the audience?
Middle grades education major. What has brought the most value to you guys' brand?
I tell folks I've been fortunate to have my my undergraduate degree from here, my master's from CAU, a Ford Fellow at Georgia State. I've got 5 honorary doctor's degrees, but all those degrees, again, I honor them, and I think they're great, but the greatest degree has been the degree of common sense that my family and my parents taught me, and I use that more often than I use anything else in life.
For me, it's been my relationship with God. And I ain't saying that to be cute, like how people say that at a award ceremony, and I want to thank God, don't know God, haven't talked to God. But I say it because when you really have a personal relationship with God, right? When you don't have nothing but God and that's all you need, it just changes your life. And so what I would say is find you the opportunity to talk to God. It's amazing. I'm so excited about what is happening in my life at 55. This is the best year of my life. 55. This is like, Bill, this is like the best year, Tommy, of my life. And last year was good. And I'm expecting next year to be even better than that. I'm expecting it. And I think, again, you got to have some plans. I'm not saying don't have plans. But a quote that says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him what your plans are. It might go in a different direction. But have a great relationship with God, man. Every morning I work out, I get my head right with, Chuck Kiyote with music, the right gospel music. I try to get my head right so I'm not walking out mad at something. So I don't listen to just anything and anybody. So what you put in your ear gates and your eye gate, all that's real important. You become that.
Anybody else?
I would like to say, with me starting off so early, I guess my mom was my rock, my foundation. My mom had a government job, okay? So she worked for the city of New York. We lived in Brooklyn. So to have a government job back then meant everything. That means, you know, your job was never late on pay. You knew exactly how many vacations you're going to have. You had the 40-40 plan. Everybody knew about that. 40 hours a week, 40 years. They knew exactly what retirement. So that's the most stable thing that you could have back in those days, was to have a government job. They was never late on pay. Well, they've been lately, so but back then, back then that was the most important thing. And when she decided that, because, you know, my career was doing what it was doing early on, and my grandmother was taking me to audition, my brother was taking me to audition, and everybody in the family was trying to support me, but it was just so much. We had a lot of, you know, good success, thank God, early on. And so we had to, you know, my mom was an usher in church, so we had to go to the minister, and we had to pray about this thing called, you know, show business, and we didn't really understand, you know, what it was going to take. So it was serious. It was a family commitment. It was a pastor had to approve of it, you know what I mean? And we all had to come together. So that strong foundation of family was everything. And right before that took place, I was the underdog in everything. I'm the last kid to get picked for volleyball or touch pass or any of that, you know what I mean? You know, so it was like, oh, yeah, okay, well, I guess we have to pick him. I'm the last one to pick, what do you mean? You guess. Ain't nobody else around here. So it changed so much, but it all started with my family believed, and my mom believed in me so much that she quit her government job. And when she quit her government job, I knew it was for real, because I knew what it meant. I knew how she felt about it. I didn't really understand it as much, but I knew for her that was a big deal. And when she did that, I'm like, okay, it's time to get serious. And that's what started instilling in me, okay, there's a different level of life that I need to kind of do. And that's started my brand of, okay, let's get serious about this thing. Whatever it is, if mama is here, because when mama had to get off her work to come see about the children at school or anything else, that was a big deal back then. I don't know, maybe people don't mind, you know, getting off work now, but back then, you don't want to see mama on a work day at home or at school. That was not a good day for you.
All right. Next. Anybody else? Okay.
I'm Anissa Watson, a sophomore chemistry major. I just want to say thank you all for coming. And my question is, were there ever moments, like whether it was when you guys were in college or just going throughout life, where you felt like maybe my dream is too big, what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to accomplish is scaring me, so I know it's going to scare other people. So what advice or what words of encouragement do you have for anyone going through that?
Question is, were there ever any moments in life that you felt that your dreams were too big, that frightened you and challenged you, as to whether you could fulfill those dreams?
Never. Never, ever. And I made a lot of people uncomfortable around me, but I don't care. Never. Everything that I ever said I was going to do, I did it. I was going to put this answer to the first question that was asked, but God told me to not say when he said anybody else to sit back, and then when you ask the question, it's perfect because it fits right here. But I always think back to my middle school self. I've always loved politics. My father's not from America, he's from West Africa, so his way of coming into knowledge of the States came through news media. And every night, my siblings and I would be right there with him watching nightly news. On Sunday, we would be watching This Week with George Stephanopoulos, everything in between. I loved politics. I didn't understand it that much, but I loved it. The people at school thought I was weird for that, like very weird. I would send text messages explaining Black history as it ties into what was happening in the political atmosphere right then. Auntie, you're a weirdo. Nobody cares about any of this stuff. And then we got Barack Obama running to be the first Black president of the United States, and everybody's hitting my phone saying, "Auntie, what do we do?" That in that moment, like when did Obama run? What grade were we in? We were in 6th grade. I was in 6th grade. It's the first day I ever missed a day of school because my dad made us all pile in the car and drive down to DC for the inauguration. I never missed any other day of school aside from that moment. Everybody's asking me, Auntie, what do we do? And in that moment I said to myself, all I have to do is be Auntie, and that'll always be enough. Taking that same energy and that same attitude as I got to Spelman, or when I got to high school, and then past high school when I got to Spelman, which was something that was unexpected, just being yourself. Like, don't even say those words, because it's not a real thing. Like, it's a formality. People want you to think that the things that you strive for are at the very least unattainable, but they're not. Anything is attainable, and anybody who tells you that they're not attainable, they're lying, or they're lazy, both, probably.
This, when they said your dreams are not too big, that they don't scare you, then your dreams ain't big enough. You know what I mean? If your dreams don't scare you, I mean, you're real comfortable, then they ain't big enough. So good.
Anybody else? All right. My name is Barry Mitchell. I'm a junior animal science major. My question is, how did you find out about your passion? I know a bunch of you all said that you got a degree in something, but you ended up doing something else. How did y'all, was it like a just coming to Jesus moment? Or was it just like, did it just pop up one day like this what you wanted to do? Was it experiences? How did you find out about your passion?
The day when my passion started waking me up every morning instead of an alarm clock. No matter how late I was up, I was still up early to do what I need. Miles Monroe once said, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but the greatest tragedy in life is to be given life and not know why you're living. When I found my purpose, I didn't need it. You know, I was a manager at UPS. I was working third shift. Time I was making more money than my mom and my dad had put together. I've been promoted 4 times, getting ready to be promoted the 5th time, and I knew that I was good at my job, but it wasn't. I used to hate it. I mean, I used to get sick. I was working third shift. I used to start getting sick every Sunday because it was too close to Monday. Then I started getting sick around Saturday night, and I had just got off on Friday. And I knew that I didn't want that was not what I was meant to do. And I came home on November 7, 1991. Turned on the news. I came home that morning, started pulling around the house, Emmanuel, and went to sleep around 10 o'clock. Woke up around 5 o'clock that afternoon time. I never forget this as long as I live. And I turned on the news, because at that time it was only a 6 o'clock news. I turned on the news at 6 o'clock because I had to get ready to go back to work at 8 for a meeting. The news was the news. Murder, carjacking, inflation, all the typical things you hear in the news. The weather came on, it was just like today. Floods, and it was just like today. Floods, tornadoes, it was horrible. I'm a sports junkie, although I'm boycotting football right now for Colin Kaepernick, but that's a whole different story. I can watch football, I can watch every sport, I love it. That was the day Magic Johnson claimed he was HIV positive. I had never in my life seen the news so bad. I started doodling on the sheet of paper, and the very first poem God ever blessed me was a piece that's called Can You Hear Me? And it says, Lord, there's times when nothing is going right. Lord, there's times I can't find anything good to talk about. Lord, there's times when I cry, I wonder, do you hear me, Lord? There's times I've fallen, and I wonder, did you see me? Can you hear me, Lord? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just give me a sign. And very softly, he spoke to my heart. He told me about Calvary, and this is what he said. He said, hey, do you know they slapped me across my face because I heard your cry? They pierced me on my side because I heard your cry. They spit on me because I heard your cry. And I died on a Friday because I heard your cry. But I rose on a Sunday because I heard your cry. Now my child, you have it all simply because I heard your cry. Last time I cried, started working towards my purpose, because I knew I wanted to be a poet. I knew I wanted to start writing then. And I started putting myself in a position to do. I started following Tommy Dorsey. He didn't even know I was following, trying to get on programs. I was. Am I right? Am I right, Tom? He was president. He was a chairman of the Atlanta Business League and all. And I saw all these amazing people on the program. And I started strategically putting myself in line. But I knew my passion. I knew my purpose, and I stopped using the alarm clock. I didn't need an alarm. I no longer had to set it, because every morning I would wake up ready to write and grow. So when you find your passion, and Bill will probably know that better than anybody else, when you find your passion, that's when days start getting brighter. You don't look at the rain as rain, it's just liquid sunshine.
What are some things that you guys do to uplift your spirits or boost your morale, or anything that makes you just feel good about the day?
First, on the question, I found my passion here on campus, about organizing the students and going in to help change the political landscape of Fort Valley by registering almost 96% of the students on campus to vote here, because the Secretary of State, after they tried to sue this university, ruled the students could vote in the city where they attend college once they've met the residential requirement, meaning if you were in some cities it's 35 days, some it's 90 days that we were eligible. And when we registered, we made a pact that we wouldn't run, and we supported candidates in this city, and we went from one black elected official to majority city council, majority utilities commission, and a year after I left, we elected the first black mayor of Fort Valley. But I felt good getting involved. So my passion from then on has been organizing, motivating, and getting people together, and still today, getting young people to understand the difference. The issue on your question, I treat my engagement and time in the community like I do my business appointments, my negotiations. It goes on my calendar. And if it's going to high schools or middle schools and speaking with young people, when it's on my calendar, even with my clients have to adjust to my time. And so I don't break that, because when you make a commitment to young people, when you make a commitment to community, you have to keep it. And so that's why today I have the kind of stability and the reputation that I can do a whole lot of things. Of course, when they tried to get me a few years ago to run for mayor, I told them I wanted to run for the bank. I don't believe in all of that stuff. But when you give your commitment, people believe in you. And so it's not that hard. And so when I put it in my calendar, my executive assistant, it stays there. And that's what, you can never be too busy. And because I'm a 27-year survivor of one of the deadliest cancers in the world. And only 8% have survived that cancer. I know I'm here not because I had 12 doctors, some of the best doctors in the business, but the Supreme Being decided there were more things for me to do. So God decided there were things for me to do. And so because of that, I know I'm living on borrowed time and I have to reinvest. And so you don't take it lightly, but I also understand the battles I have with cancer aren't as great as what some families have to worry about when their children go from home to school, worried about whether they're going to be shot, attacked, or beaten, or killed. Don't know whether food's going to be on the table. So we all have to understand we have our blessings and you share them. So for me today, I get more enjoyment from seeing young people succeed, seeing my community grow, and making a difference. That's my joy. It's not how much money I can make, because you get bills with it too, but it's how many people can you help.
I think you really need to think about not only what you can do for others, but you need to figure out what you're going to do for you as well. And you must put time in for yourself. Now, the fun part about what we do is the things that we enjoy doing is also the things that we make money at. So we get a kick out of it. I mean, like, we're talking to each other about, yeah, you remember that deal we did, or whatever. That's fun for us. It's like, that's what we enjoy doing. So, you know, when they're over there talking about their mattress, that was them having a moment right there. Okay? They enjoy it. This is what they eat. This is like, there are people who bake all day and they love to bake. And you ask them, what do you do to release? And they're like, I just baked all them pies. You smell that goodness and all the smiles, and you know. So you gotta make sure that you know. Hopefully, that when you're in your profession and that you're doing something that makes you money, that you know helps you to be an asset to the community, then it also makes you happy. You know that's important for us. We're doing what we want to do. Doing what we enjoy doing, and we also make a good coin from doing it.
Well, he's saying you can do well while doing good.
Balance.
Anybody else?
I'm sitting here thinking about my daddy. My daddy came here in 1938 as a part of a program called Ham and Eggs. And I'm sitting here saying, man, I'm blessed. Because my journey and what I have accomplished could only be because of two things. The God I serve and the DNA and the genes I got from my mama, my daddy, my granddaddy, and folk that came from Africa, folk that I never knew. And so I'm a little emotional right now, you know, because I've been sitting and thinking about this for the last 10, 12 minutes. But I look at y'all and I say, dang, you know, because I wasn't a great college student. Matter of fact, I went to what my grandmother called a Lord have mercy college. I started at a community college. But I'm sitting here saying, I wish there was a way that I could take each person in this, and money is not my God. Money is not my God, but I do put it there with air and breathe. It's not my God. But I know that everybody in this room has the capacity to become anything that he or she wants. I believe that. Scientist, musician, ballerina, whatever it is. And I'm sitting here saying, what can I do? Well, I thought about it. Read my book. Read my book. And I believe that every one of us in this room has a capacity to become whatever we want to become. I really believe. My mama was a day worker. My daddy was a good man, but he just drank a little too much, you know? And so my life is the reflection, man, of the men and women in LaGrange, because they were reading my aptitude score, the ACT and SAT. But what they could not read was my aptitude score. And regardless of your aptitude score, when you have a positive attitude, you can go to the highest altitudes in life. I believe that. Every day I believe that. So man, I tell you, man, what's your name?
Hey, Sean Wiggins.
Wiggins?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you got a name, you got wings on you, boy. You're ready to fly. I probably didn't answer your question, man, but I was in the moment thinking that my daddy came here from LaGrange, Georgia in 1938. And how he got here, I don't know. But whatever was poured into him was poured into me. And yeah, I've got all the buzz and all the whistles and everything a white man could want in America. But that ain't what it's about right now. It's about making sure that people look like my mom and daddy. Understand that in spite of all of the challenges and the unfairness of this country and this world, you could be anything you want to believe. And I tell my friends, like, hey man, you can flip houses, you can flip burgers, but you can't sit your black ass home all day flipping the television. You can't do that. That ain't the way it is. So catch me on the side. I ain't gonna leave till we talk, because I did answer your question, but me and God had to tell y'all what I was thinking for the last 8 minutes.
And can I just piggyback on that? I think, and I keep saying it, it's something about who you hang out with. It's something about where your circle is. I tell my son all the time, you show who your friends are, I show you who you are. It's something about being around success. Do y'all know, Google it, there's a Europe called the Billionaire Road. Billionaire Road, and it's only billionaires can live on this road. They don't even want millionaires to live around them. Billionaires don't even want the millionaires to live around them. And so if you don't find yourself hanging, you gotta find some people, you know, who you hang around. You with me? And because your mindset starts to change. If you're around success all the time, how are you gonna think about failure? I mean, you can't. I mean, it's just like light and dark can't occupy the same space at the same time. If you're around folk who are doing something, who care about other people, you know, and I incorporate that in there, because, you know, Emmanuel was right, Tommy was right, and I saw them giving to other people. And then I started feeling good about me, and the success started coming back. I'm telling you, man, look, sisters, I wouldn't date a man who didn't have no get back in him. I would ask them 2 questions. Are you registered to vote? If they're not, I'll quit them. That should be the first thing. You got to start, y'all got to change the questions that you ask people. Forget about who your favorite singer is and athlete. What's your plan? Where are you going? Because I might not want to go with you. You with me? And so you got to find people to hang out with. I mean, I saw this young lady, I saw them, because I had the luxury of being one of the judges, and I was like, this was some of the best crop of talent we saw at the HBCU pageant I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I think they were sharp because they got together and they were sharpening the irons of each other. The kings, and you remember when we got together, the men, the male piece and all that. It's who you hang out with too. All of a sudden you start making plans to do something, be something. So while you're on this campus, I challenge you. People used to try to get away from the coolest, the smartest people, and hang out with the coolest. Man, find the smartest person. That's who you need to be befriending.
Okay, I got one last question.
I want
Then we're gonna do rappers. Go ahead.
I want to touch on this, on the answer of one of the questions. When you have business, and if you have more than one business, franchise, whatever, specifically in mind, we have what we call residual income. So my show is syndicated internationally since, I don't know, 86, 87, around the world. So no matter whether I'm here or it's a cable network or it's on Hulu or whatever, so as many times it's being shown around the world, I'm still getting paid for it. I don't even know the languages that it might be speaking in. I could care less. But as long as that, we call that mailbox money is what you want to understand about. That's mailbox money. So when you get home, oh, that's a check. Oh, cool. Thank you very much. And music is called royalties. And he'll tell you what it means for him. But yes, there's many ways on how you can have mailbox money, residual income.
And coming from a college student standpoint, I kind of want to answer your question. I'm sorry, Mr. Dortch. I know you want us to move to the next question. But I know, like, as black people, we love money, but we're scared of money as well. We think about the financial situations that we saw unfolding in our households growing up. I know, at least for me, I do. Like I shared with you all, my father's not from America. He is an immigrant. Was born in '58, moved to the States in the '70s. So he saw poverty on a level in the third world country that he's from, which is Gambia. It's a small country inside of Senegal. He saw poverty in a way that I would never understand. He worked his behind off every day so that my siblings and I would never know what that looked like for him. So that we could just feel the comfort of life tantamount to what he ever experienced. Similar to Dr. Picard, my father's work ethic is what pushed me forward towards wanting to become more financially sound, so to say. And we have to think about the information that's consistently put in front of us as college students. Black college students, we don't talk a lot about financial fortitude. If you all have candid conversations with your friends about financial fortitude, please correct me where I stand and raise your hand and tell me that I'm wrong. But we don't. We don't just have those conversations with one another. And so for me, in recognizing that flaw in myself, and I've been an economics minor since my freshman year at Spelman, I just recently started trading in the foreign exchange market. It's something very minor, but I obtain income residually. It's just on my phone. As much as I'm texting, I swipe over, I click the other app, and I'm working on my trades. I'm in a part of an organization that informs me about the value of the inversions of the different currencies. It's just another world, but it's a world that's been there. That info is not thrown at us. We have to literally seek that information out. Just because we have to seek that information out doesn't mean it's not valuable. The most valuable information is the information that we have to seek out. We know it's not there, but we have to do it. We have to do it. And I just wanted to give you that piece. I would love to talk to you afterwards about it, and anybody else who's interested, because it's definitely put $500 in my pocket over 3 weeks.
All right. Last question, and then we're going to do the drawings.
I haven't had it since, and it's been the best day of my life. Because I get discouraged easily, distracted easily, and I be feeling like I can't accomplish much. So what are the things or advice for, like, if you're discouraged and you feel like you just can't do it no more?
I hate to talk back to back because I feel like I'm talking a lot, but the day of my campus pageant, Miss Maroon and White, I was backstage practicing my talent, and I ran in the dressing room of one of the other girls that I was going against. She wasn't in there, she was on stage doing her talent, so I asked the people that she had backstage helping her, could I use that restroom to rehearse my talent? They told me I could, and I guess they left because when she came off stage, the remainder of her campaign team joined her in the back, not knowing I was in the bathroom, and they just began to chew me out, like, as a person, why I didn't deserve the crown, how everything that I've done since I've been at Spelman has just been for this moment. It's never came from a genuine place. I was just doing it just to get the title. In that moment, And trust me, I cleaned it up in a really, really nice way for this panel. I'm talking about all types of names, all types of statements, all types of things that just weren't truths. And so in that moment, I had 7 minutes before I went on stage to do my talent. I had 3 options, which was to grab my stuff and run, to grab my stuff and go say something that probably wouldn't be the most kind thing. But then I've been working my behind off for all 4 years for this moment, 3 years rather at that point, for this moment. And I wasn't gonna give it up to her. Anytime I'm asked about the sentiment of like feeling like you wanna give up, I go back to that moment because I was steps away from walking out of the chapel or the auditorium and not fulfilling what I felt was my divine purpose. And I went on stage and didn't even do my talent. I spoke specifically about perspective in the Atlanta University Center, how we think we know one another, but we don't, and mention that instance, mention the situation that unfolded backstage. And you will be surprised how many people approached me after the pageant. I ended up winning. I was talking on the fly, I don't know how. But you'll be surprised how many people approached me after the pageant saying, wow, like, so when words are coming my way on campus, I shut down this way, or I suffer from bipolar depression, or I suffer from depression. Sometimes I don't want to leave my bed or my room. I didn't know that you experienced those things too. You just have to remember that you're not alone in it, but the moments that you want to become the weakest, this is when you become the strongest. And I want you to also know that when your phone goes dead, sometimes when my phone goes dead, I let it go, I let it stay. People can't reach you, but that's all right. They will be fine, because there was once upon a time when they couldn't reach you at all.
All right. Come to that point, we're going to do a drawing. There is a $500 book scholarship, a $300 book scholarship, and a $100 book scholarship that we will give. While we're doing this, I'm going to ask the panel to think of one word you want to leave with the students after we finish this, and that'll close us out. So those of you on the front row, look under the seats that you're sitting in. If you find a ticket, you got a $100 book scholarship. All in the front row, I see you moving, you won't follow over there. If you weren't sitting on the front row to start, only those in the front row, you find a ticket under your seat, front row only. Front row only. All right, nothing under the seat? I've got one. You found one under the seat? Come on over. You got $100. Anybody else? All right, let me tell you where we are. Anytime you walk into a room, students, go to the front. Don't sit in the back. You know, you should be there to see and be seen. And it amazes me how we never take the front row. You should always take the front row whenever you walk into a room. Let people know you're there. Let them see you. So we got one student who will get a $100 book scholarship for sitting on the front row. You got one?
There's one I think over there.
Well, you got to be sitting in the, well, you're on the front row. You find it, you got it. No, okay. So, that's the first thing. I'm going to, at this time, again, Tanzania, if you'll kind of join me here. How many of you have your phones here, your smartphones? I want you to Google the third stanza of the Star Spangled Banner. Just pull it up so you understand. I never, ever will sing the Star Spangled Banner. I will stand for the flag. I will defend this country. I will stand for this country, but I will not sing the Star Spangled Banner. If you look at the third stanza of the Star Spangled Banner, Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner after the fight at Fort McHenry. And you never heard the rest of the story. You need to understand history and not his story. Back during slavery, if slaves could escape their slave masters and make their way to Canada, they found refuge. They were not forced to come back to the slave owners. And there were over 6,000 plus slaves who had escaped from the U.S. to Canada. The British soldiers partnered with the slaves who had escaped to try and come back to the U.S. to to get their loved ones and help them escape. Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner the day, and he'd been writing, but the day after the battle at Fort McHenry, he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. You only hear them singing the first stanza or second. The third stanza is basically one that glorifies the slave owners who slaughtered the slaves, who praised the fact that they killed the slaves in that battle as they came back for their families. If your family was enslaved or taken away, would you not go back to try and find freedom for them? Well, Francis Scott Key was a slave owner. He owned multiple slaves. When we glorify his song, you have to remember that Star-Spangled Banner was not the national anthem of this nation until I think it was the late 20s. That's when the U.S. adopted that as the national anthem. So I don't sing the Star-Spangled Banner because it is basically an attack on black people, black slaves. So we fought for this country. We helped to make it what it is. We built this nation. And again, the flag of the United States, yes. But the Star-Spangled Banner is a song by a racist and a slave owner against the defeat of black slaves who came back. And when a few years later, about 3 years later, the U.S. government negotiated a treaty with the British government, and during the signing of that treaty, the U.S. asked the British soldiers, the government, to return the 6,000 slaves, and they refused to. They refused to return them to the U.S. So you need to know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So while Kaepernick may have taken a kneel for a different reason, remember that before he took that kneel, the Heisman Trophy winner from Florida took a kneel to protest abortions in America, and they glorified him. Kaepernick took a kneel for injustice against our people, and they basically have convicted him and blackballed him. But the worst thing is your president at the National Football, NCAA Football Championship in Mercedes-Benz Dome last year does not even know the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. He was lip-syncing. And then he's going to call these men, call them, basically curse them out who kneel. But in America, you have the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression. That is what this Constitution of the United States guarantees us. And you have the right to express yourselves. And so these athletes basically express what they believe in. And that's what our Constitution guarantees. So don't ever compromise your beliefs. Stand for something. And so that's where we are, and know the truth. Read the Star-Spangled Banner third stanza, and you'll know again why so many of us don't at any time sing it. I'll stand for the flag, but I will never sing the Star-Spangled Banner, and I dare anybody to challenge me on my right to do that. And I challenge you to stand up for what's right. That's why now in most places, I spoke at Rush College Sunday, they do the Negro National Anthem and refuse to do the Star-Spangled Banner on campus there because, again, this is our nation, that is our flag, but the Star-Spangled Banner belongs to the slave owners who fought to keep us from getting our family back. And the first is 500 or is it 100?
What do you want to do first?
Hey, let me see the hands of those that want the first drawing to be for 500. All right, hands down. Who want the last drawing to be for 500? I got a solution. I'm going to ask our queen, what will be the amount for the first drawing? We got 500, 300, 100.
Let's start from the bottom.
All right, first drawing for $100. The queen has spoken. I'm going to ask our president to come on up here too. You too. When I Apparently you want to accuse me. Madam President, if you will draw a ticket, and then I'll have the Queen draw a ticket. So for $100, and you have to be present to win. If you aren't here, we figure you won't have the ticket anyway. The number is 727-241. 727. This is for $300, right? 727-252. Okay. And folks, for the $500 book scholarship.
You pick that one. Come on, Mr. Jones.
Come on up here.
Oh, don't make me.
Come on up here. I'm not putting this on the president. Let me say, you want a bodyguard when we get through drawing this one. All right, you just quit. The winner is 727-239. 727-239. No winner. Draw again. Alright, no winner. Draw it again. He may have walked out and still have the ticket. The winner is 72114. So, since all of you stayed here as long as you did, I'm going to do 3 more $100 drawings. All right, the winner is, all right, you're staying close, 727-216. 727-216. Once, twice, gone. Next. 727-253. 727. All right, one down, 2 more to go. 727-135. Alright folks, this is for the last drawing. $100 goes to 727-168. As we close out, I'm going to start with our president. Give us one word that's an inspirational word you'd like to share with the body. One word.
Intentional. Always be intentional in everything you do so you'll have a purpose and make sure you make an impact on somebody or anything that you put yourself up to.
Perseverance. Never give up and do not give in, because you can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
Attitude. The Bible says, as you think it, so shall it be.
intention. Everything that you do matters, no matter how small.
Mine is service. Dr. King says, if you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. Recognize he or she who's greatest among you should be a servant.
All right.
All right. Well, you do your word. My word. You want my word or my?
I give a word.
There you go. That's the good one.
That's it.
Mentorship. Always understand that mentoring makes a difference. So, as we prepare to leave here, we thank you for indulging us and allowing us to spend time with you this evening. I want to, of course, thank the President and our First Lady for being who they are and what they are, and really making us proud of representing us well in the leadership. Dr. Jones, I tell you, I think I told you today, I've worked with every president of this university except for two. And that was Dr. Horace Bond, our first president, and Dr. C.B. True. But from there on, Dr. Blanchett was my president when I came here. Dr. Pettigrew followed him, and we go down the line, and we've had a great leadership team here. But more importantly, you know, for me and the alumni, if you ever need us, we'll be there. And students, we're proud of you now. We're going to be even prouder of what you're going to do because you're Wildcat. And here at Fort Valley, we do what we have to do. Thank you.